Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to kind of journey back in time to explore a discovery that's changing how we think about our early ancestors and their capabilities. We've got two sources for you today. A news article hot off the press from this year, and a scientific paper, straight from the journal Nature. Both are buzzing about. An incredible find. At Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania, a place already famous for giving us glimpses into the lives of early humans.
It's a site that just keeps on giving. Olduvai Gorge has yielded a wealth of artifacts and fossils from simple stone tools to the remains of the animals that roamed the landscape millions of years ago. It's like stepping back in time to see firsthand the environment these early humans lived in.
And this new discovery is adding a whole new layer to that picture. Get this, scientists have unearthed a collection of 27 bone tools, dating back an incredible 1.5 million years. To put that into perspective, the oldest bone tools we knew of before this were only around 500,000 years old.
This discovery pushes back the timeline for systematic bone tool production by over 1 million years. What's even more remarkable is that these tools were found in the same stratigraphic horizon, the same layer of sediment as other artifacts from 1.5 million years ago. This strongly suggests that these early hominins were the ones who created and used these advanced tools.
Now I know what you might be thinking: bone tools. How complex can they be? But trust me, these weren't just some haphazardly broken bone fragments. These tools were intentionally crafted, and they tell a story of ingenuity and planning.
These early humans were selectively choosing the densest parts of large mammal bones, primarily from elephants, and hippos to create tools that could withstand serious force. We're talking tools that measure between 20 to 40 centimeters long, some weighing up to a kilo. Imagine the strength it would take to wield those.
That's like carrying around a small hammer. And it gets even more interesting. Many of these tools have notches carved into them, likely to improve grip. And here's the kicker. The tools display a similar morphology, a consistent shape and structure. That suggests they were working from mental templates, a preconceived idea of the tool they wanted to create.
This level of planning and standardization speaks volumes about the cognitive abilities of these early humans. It means they weren't just reacting to their environment and grabbing whatever came to hand. They were envisioning the tools they needed, selecting the right materials, and then skillfully shaping them to fit their purpose.
So if they were putting this much thought and effort into making these tools, what exactly were they using them for? Especially considering large stone tools from the same period are pretty scarce. At Olduvai Gorge,
That's a great question. And the researchers studying these tools believe they were primarily used for heavy-duty tasks like butchering large animal carcasses. The size and weight of these bone tools are actually comparable to the large cutting tools, or LCTs, we sometimes find at early human sites. And the wear patterns on the bone tools, the shapes and types of fractures they exhibit are consistent with percussive and compressive activities.
so they were really putting these tools to work. It's almost like they were filling a gap left by the lack of suitable stone for making large cutting tools,
Yeah.
turning to bone as a durable and effective alternative.
That's one of the prevailing theories, and it highlights the adaptability and resourcefulness of these early humans. They were facing challenges like a scarcity of certain materials, and they were finding innovative solutions.
This is where it gets really fascinating, because some scientists believe that these bone tools might represent a crucial transition in early human tool technology. You see, before this discovery, the timeline went from the simpler Oldowan tools to the more sophisticated Acheulean tools known for their iconic hand axes.
This finding potentially places these bone tools right in the middle of that technological evolution, acting as a bridge between these two distinct tool-making traditions. It suggests a gradual increase in complexity and sophistication in early human tool use, a process of innovation and experimentation that ultimately shaped the course of human history.
It's amazing to think that something as seemingly simple as a bone tool can offer such profound insights into the minds of our distant ancestors.
Absolutely. And it raises so many intriguing questions. For example, if this bone tool technology was so advanced 1.5 million years ago, why does it seem to vanish for 1 million years before popping up again in other parts of the world? Was this knowledge lost and then independently reinvented? Or are we simply missing pieces of the puzzle with other bone tools from this period yet to be discovered?
These are the mysteries that archaeologists are working to unravel. And each new discovery brings us closer to understanding the full story of human ingenuity and technological advancement. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's dive deeper into what makes these Olduvai Gorge bone tools so special and what they reveal. about the cognitive abilities of the humans who made them. Okay, so we've established that these bone tools are far more advanced than you might initially think. But how do these tools from 1.5 million years ago compare to other bone tools found later in human history? The Nature article mentioned bone hand axes discovered in Rome, for example. Is there any connection there?
That's a question that really gets at the heart of how archaeologists try to trace the evolution of technology and the spread of knowledge. Those bone hand axes from Rome date back to the Middle Pleistocene, so much younger than our Olduvai Gorge tools. But there's a fascinating parallel. Both sets of tools were created in environments where good quality stone for making large cutting tools was scarce. It seems that in both cases, early humans looked around and said, okay, what else can we use? Bone that will work.
So it might not be a direct line of inheritance, but rather a case of similar environmental pressures leading to similar solutions. It really speaks to the adaptability of early humans, doesn't it? They weren't bound by rigid traditions. They were willing to experiment and innovate.
Precisely. It challenges the image we sometimes have of our early ancestors as being stuck in their ways. These were people who were able to assess their needs, analyze the resources available, and come up with creative solutions.
This whole discovery really makes you wonder what other technological innovations might be out there just waiting to be uncovered. But let's zoom out a bit and consider the bigger picture. How does this discovery fit into our understanding of human evolution, particularly the development of our brains and cognitive abilities?
This is where it gets really exciting. Remember, tools aren't just objects, they're expressions of thought, of planning, and of problem solving. They reflect the cognitive abilities of the humans who made them. And the level of sophistication we see in these bone tools tells us that early humans, at least 1.5 million years ago, were capable of much more complex thought processes than we previously gave them credit for.
So these tools are like windows into the minds of our ancestors. And what they're showing us is a level of intelligence and ingenuity that's pretty remarkable.
Absolutely. And this isn't just a one-off event. As the human lineage continued to evolve, so too did our use of bone for tools. Over time, we see bone being used for a wider range of purposes, from the heavy-duty butchering tools of Olduvai Gorge to more delicate and specialized tools.
Right. We eventually see bone being used for things like needles for sewing, harpoons for fishing, even musical instruments. It's a story that continues to unfold as humans spread across the globe, adapting to new environments and finding new ways to use this versatile material.
Think about bone needles with eyes for threading, for example. Those appear much later in the archaeological record, first showing up in places like China and Siberia around 40,000 years ago, and then in Europe around 26,000 years ago. So the story of bone tools is one of continuity and innovation, a testament to the creativity and adaptability of humans throughout history.
It's fascinating to see how the use of bone for tools evolved over time. We start with these large, almost brutal tools for processing animal carcasses, and eventually we end up with delicate needles for sewing and creating art.
It speaks to the incredible ingenuity of the human mind and our ability to shape the world around us. But what's really fascinating is that even with those later, more refined bone tools, we still see echoes of the skill and planning evident in those early tools from Olduvai Gorge.
It's like they laid the groundwork, demonstrating that bone could be more than just a byproduct of hunting. It could be a valuable resource for creating tools that help them survive and thrive.
Exactly. And that legacy continues to this day. We may not be crafting bone tools anymore, but we're still pushing the boundaries of technology, exploring new materials, and finding innovative solutions to the challenges we face. In a way, we're carrying on the spirit of those early tool makers at Olduvai Gorge.
It's a reminder that the drive to create, to innovate, and to shape our world is deeply ingrained in our nature. But before we get too philosophical, there's one more mystery we need to tackle, that million-year gap in the bone tool record. Why does this technology seem to disappear and then reappear? What are the prevailing theories about that?
Well, there are a few different schools of thought on that. One possibility is that the knowledge of bone tool making was simply lost in some areas and then independently reinvented later. Perhaps those early tool makers at Olduvai Gorge didn't pass on their knowledge to subsequent generations, or maybe environmental changes or migrations disrupted the transmission of these skills.
It's like a cultural recipe that got lost
Yeah.
and then rediscovered.
Exactly. And it wouldn't be the first time that's happened in human history. We know that technologies and cultural practices have been lost and reinvented multiple times throughout our evolutionary journey.
But there must be other possibilities, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a million years is a long time for a technology to just disappear.
You're right, and that's where the second theory comes in. Some scientists believe that we simply haven't found all the evidence yet. Remember, bone is an organic material. It doesn't always preserve as well as stone. It's possible that bone tools from that million-year gap exist, but they haven't been preserved or discovered.
So it could be a case of the archaeological record being incomplete rather than the technology itself disappearing.
Precisely. And remember, archaeology is a constantly evolving field. New discoveries are being made all the time, and what we think we know today might change tomorrow.
It's like a giant jigsaw puzzle where we're constantly finding new pieces and trying to fit them into the bigger picture.
That's a great analogy. And this discovery at Olduvai Gorge is a reminder that we should never stop asking questions, exploring new possibilities, and challenging our assumptions about the past.
And speaking of challenging assumptions, this discovery really forces us to reconsider what we thought we knew about the cognitive abilities of early humans. They were clearly capable of much more complex thought and planning than we previously gave them credit for.
Absolutely. These bone tools aren't just objects. They're evidence of sophisticated cognitive abilities. They show us that early humans were capable of abstract thought planning and problem solving. They were able to envision the tool they needed, select the right materials, and then execute their plan with remarkable skill and precision.
It's like they were taking a giant leap forward in their cognitive evolution, setting the stage for the even more remarkable technological advancements that would come later.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder what other cognitive leaps might have occurred during that missing million years. What other evidence of early human ingenuity is still out there waiting to be discovered?
These are the questions that drive archaeologists and paleoanthropologists to keep digging, keep exploring, and keep pushing the boundaries of what we know about our past. And with each new discovery, we gain a deeper appreciation for the incredible journey that led us to where we are today. It really is mind-blowing to think about. Those early humans at Olduvai Gorge crafting these sophisticated tools. Over 1 million years before the pyramids were built, it makes you realize just how long and complex the human story really is.
And how much we still have to learn. Every new discovery peels back another layer of that story, revealing new insights into our origins and our capabilities, and these bone tools are a prime example of that. They challenge our assumptions about the pace of technological innovation and the cognitive abilities of our early ancestors.
So what does this discovery tell us about the bigger picture of human evolution? I mean, if they were making these advanced bone tools 1.5 million years ago, what does that say about the trajectory of human development?
Well, it suggests that the path to modern humans wasn't a straight line. It was a winding road with twists and turns, periods of rapid innovation followed by periods of seemingly slower progress. And those slow periods might not be slow at all. They might just represent gaps in the archaeological record waiting to be filled in by future discoveries.
So instead of thinking of human evolution as a linear progression, we should be thinking of it as more of a branching tree with different groups experimenting with different technologies and lifestyles.
And sometimes those branches reconnect, as we see with the potential link between the Olduvai Gorge bone tools and the later bone tools found in Rome. It highlights the interconnectedness of human history and the ways in which knowledge and innovation can spread and be readapted over time and across vast distances.
It also makes you wonder about the role of cultural transmission in all of this. How did these early humans learn to make these tools? Was it trial and error, or was there some form of teaching and apprenticeship going on?
Those are some of the biggest questions facing archaeologists and anthropologists today. We can infer certain things from the tools themselves, like the level of planning and standardization suggests some form of shared knowledge, but piecing together the exact mechanisms of cultural transmission is a complex puzzle.
It's like trying to reconstruct a conversation that happened 1.5 million years ago.
In a way, yes. But every new discovery gives us more clues, more pieces to fit into that puzzle. And as we uncover more evidence, we'll get a clearer picture of how these early humans lived, learned, and passed on their knowledge to future generations.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to come back to you, the listener. Why should you care about these ancient bone tools? What makes this discovery relevant to your life today?
Well, for one, it reminds us that we're part of a much larger story, a story that stretches back millions of years. These early humans at Olduvai Gorge were our ancestors, and their ingenuity and adaptability helped shape the world we live in today.
It's a story of innovation, of problem solving, of pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And it's a story that's still being written today.
Think about all the challenges we face in the 21st century. Climate change, resource scarcity, social inequality. We can learn from our ancestors, from their ability to adapt and innovate to find creative solutions to the problems they faced.
So these bone tools aren't just relics of the past, they're a sort of inspiration for the future. They remind us that we have the potential to overcome challenges and create a better world for ourselves and future generations.
Exactly. And they remind us that the human journey is one of continuous learning, adaptation, and innovation. We've come a long way since those early days at Olduvai Gorge, but the same drive to explore, to create, and to make our mark on the world is still within us.
So the next time you're faced with a challenge, think about those early humans crafting bone tools 1.5 million years ago. They didn't give up, they didn't let limitations stop them, and neither should you. They looked around at what they had, got creative, and found a way to thrive. And that's a lesson we can all carry with us.
And remember, the story of human evolution is still being written. We're all part of that story, and each of us has the potential to contribute to the next chapter. So stay curious, keep exploring, and never stop asking questions. Who knows what incredible discoveries are waiting to be made and what those discoveries will reveal about our shared human journey.
That's a great note to end on. This has been a fascinating deep dive into the world of early human tool use and what it can teach us about our past, present, and future. Thanks for joining us.